My name's Michael G. Smith, and I'm the Senior Artistic Director for Alegria and Varekai. That's two of the touring shows at Cirque du Soleil. What my job is, I'm responsible for the artistic integrity of the show, and the show quality as well. We're a circus, so the starting point for any circus is acrobats doing amazing physical feats that us normal human beings would never imagine, for one thing, and it would be impossible. Couple that with theatre, with a production around that which highlights everything that they're doing, and you have a thrill beyond anything that I think is achievable for any other show. I've been in the industry more than 30 years. I was a performer, I've been a director. I saw Cirque du Soleil, and it was actually Alegria was the first show I saw back in 1999 in London at the Albert Hall, which for a British person, that theatre is an institution, it's part of our culture. Didn't really know much about Cirque du Soleil, was blown away, absolutely blown away. Because it's theatre, and that's my background, it's my passion, but in a different way, because it's not just visual. Essentially you think you're going to see something visual, but the whole package around the characters, the atmosphere, the pace, the colour, the texture of the show, heightens every emotion that you feel. So the word Alegria means joy, and what we want is that everybody who comes to see the show leaves with a feeling of joy, of exhilaration, of escaping their reality. We all have things in our lives that we don't really want to face. Everybody does, and we want to transport people away from that. Spread joy. It's about spreading joy.
That's great. That's great.
What we want to do.
I know before we went on camera, we were talking about my first experience, which was Mystere in Las Vegas. And I shared my, it was so unexpected. It was just incredible. But I would imagine that that's kind of a typical first-timer's reaction to seeing a Cirque performance.
I think so, unless they've seen a DVD when they would be prepared. But the DVD experience, while very poetic and all that, it has nothing to do with a live experience. Because it's live entertainment. It can go wrong. What we do is dangerous. What we do is pushing the barriers. We take every precaution we can for the health and safety of the artist, but sometimes one fraction of loss of focus or concentration from an artist can result in an awful accident. So we live with that pressure. The artists, when they come to work for Cirque du Soleil, it's not just another job, it's a lifestyle choice. They know that they're making that commitment, not only to themselves, but to a group, because a lot of the acts are group numbers. Their lives are in the hands of their colleagues. So we don't have a party crowd, etc., etc. They just don't tend to do that. I saying that on a Sunday night when they're off on a Monday, it's a party crowd. And that's the day of the week where they relax because they have to. But apart from that, people are very dedicated to what they do because of the responsibility to their colleagues and to an audience. We're aware that an audience have a huge expectation when they come to see a Cirque du Soleil show. We're aware that our tickets are not the cheapest. Quality does not have a price. What you get for the ticket is great value for money, an unforgettable, an unimaginable evening.
Those that are familiar with the Vegas style shows, big, beautiful, what do you call them, theaters built out specifically for those. How does that differ from what Alegria is going to bring to Honolulu, or does it? I mean, it's... It
does. There is a difference. The Vegas shows, like you say, it's we build a theatre is expressly built for that. So. And it doesn't have to move. So, like in car, there's a machine, a hydraulic machine moving a stage, which is bigger than a jumbo jet. So, I mean,
Incredible.
we obviously don't have that. We're traveling with that. The big difference with the touring shows and the resident shows is that the touring shows have a big production around them, but essentially it comes down to human skill and human performance, which I think is more exciting. A machine is built to do something, and yes, there's a lot of research, there's a lot of creativity going into making the technical support for our shows because they're new ideas, they didn't exist. But once it's done, and it's a question of oiling the machine, and the machine will do it. It doesn't have the fragility of a human being. it invariably will not go wrong, or it just breaks down. When you see a touring show like Alegria, the main part of the show is the human aspect, and it can go wrong. And there's the fragility and all that, and that for me makes it much more exciting. If people like theatre, they will love Alegria.
I know probably many people have saw Saltimbanco when it came down 2 years ago. How is Alegria different from the Saltimbanco show?
When we start to create a show, the starting point is, what have we not done? So none of the acts in Alegria have any relation whatsoever to do with Saltimbanco. And Saltimbanco was a big step for Cirque, but it still retains more of a circus feel and an urban feel. I think generally the feel of Saltimbanco is an urban feel. Because of where the creators of Cirque du Soleil came from, they were street performers. They were street performers who didn't even have enough money to stay in a hotel. They slept in the back of their transit van on their tent. They call it a big top. It was a small tent. That was their bedding. I mean, these people were street performers. So obviously, it's an incredible success story over the last 25 years to what it is now. But Alegria was a big step away from that. And that's why it's really become the signature of the Cirque du Soleil show.
But is there anything in Hawaii right now that comes close to the level of imagination or entertainment as what Alegria is bringing to Honolulu?
I couldn't answer that one honestly, because I've been here 2 days and I'm leaving tomorrow. I would very much doubt that. Not because you're starved of things here in Hawaii. It more about what Cirque brings is unique to anywhere, to any place we go, which is why we can travel the world, because it's a unique product. And
see, this is going to be put up on our family blog.
Yeah.
Alegria, a family show?
Absolutely a family show. I think that we are, again, another unique thing that we are in the market, apart from one show we have in Vegas, which was Zumanity specifically designed.
Which we saw.
Yeah. But it's also marketed as the other side of Cirque du Soleil. It's very different. I think all the other shows are family entertainment, and I think, not to compare Disney because it's a different product, but we do it better. The Disney products are geared more towards children that parents can come along to. I think what makes us unique, it's a given for everybody. The clowns have an appeal to adults, a bigger appeal to children, because I think specifically the clowns in Alegria, the humour is in the fact that they've found the child within, which we all have, and through conditioning in our lives, we're taught to move away from that. The joy that the clowns in Alegria bring, it reminds all of us, and of course the kids' reaction to it reminds us. Yeah.
Any local people on the cast?
We do have a local boy in the cast. Right. We actually have two right now. Unfortunately, one's leaving in September, but he's staying with the show. He wants more stability in his life. He's moving into the technical department. But yeah, a local boy who I think I spoke to him about the fact we were coming to Hawaii last month, and yeah, he's already bursting with pride. I think nobody's more excited.
Like any local boy would.
Yeah, I think it's the prodigal son syndrome. Local boy does good, and it was an achievement to get there. We have it's the fire juggling, which especially for here, it's a local thing. So the fact that we have it in the show I think is going to be very exciting for the local people. That is a local guy doing it makes it doubly exciting. So I think it's going to go down very well.
You know, when we were talking earlier too, I kind of thrown at you. So there's so much going on stage, you know, so much color, so much lively movement. What's the best way to take all of that in? And I loved your answer earlier.
But everybody takes in what they can, and it's designed to do that. You know, it might not necessarily be the main act. We always leave the main focus there, but like I was saying earlier, there's always things going on. There's stories that go on. So especially Alegria, we have to invite an audience into the universe of Alegria. The very first act in the show is a synchro trapeze act, and it's a synchro act because we have to, the relationship that exists between those two people doing technically very difficult. What I'm interested in is the relationship between the two. The relationship between the two of them invites all the thousands of people watching to participate in that relationship. It invites them into the universe, and that's where we want them to stay. So if there's things going on behind that, they might find that more interesting than the main act. And that's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. It touches the core of everybody who's watching the show. They're going to interpret it how they want to. It's open to interpretation. That's all the layers and the textures of what we produce. And
what do you say to a person or a family who thinks it's going to be too expensive to go and see the show? I mean, obviously, you're always going to have those people that are going to be price-driven, but...
Yeah, it's always a choice. You know, we all make choices with what we have. The importance that one family will place on having a unique experience for the whole family may not be a different choice for another family. And who am I to judge? You know, I think that having a memorable experience that the whole family celebrate and share, I think personally has a huge value.